Excuse me. Your balls are showing. Bumblebee tuna?
Bumblebee tuna, baby. That's an underappreciated movie. Ace Ventura 2. I don't know if it'd still be funny if I watch it today, though. I don't know. I need to try to do that. But anyway, hey, how's it going? It's another episode of Da Huff Uncensored. Hope you're having a great day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. Also, don't forget today's show is presented to you by the great people over at Sugar Fire in Westminster, as well as Jad's Mile High Smoke, and of course, Bet Online. In fact, Bet Online is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. So go ahead and go to betonline.ag. Again, betonline.ag today, or go ahead and use your mobile device to get in on all the action. It's BetOnline where the game starts. Let's do it. Let's cut the shit. Let's cut the shit, people. Let's jump into some headlines.
Let's go! Let's go!
And now, here are the headlines.
One day I'm going to be yelling like, let's cut the shit. And, somebody of like importance is going to come down like, oh, hi, Grandma. Hello, Pastor Frank or whoever. Hi. Anyway, it's Mother's Day this Sunday, and I bring it up as a public service because there's a lot of times, especially us guys, we forget about that shit. And you don't want to forget about that shit, especially if you have a wife that's a mother. You definitely got to take care of her. So, which by the way, I lucked out. My wife had told me like a month or two ago, she's like, this is what I want. And she's all, if you find a good deal, I would love this for Mother's Day. I'm like, sure. Okay. Next day I ordered it. Actually, it was like 5 minutes later. I ordered it, and then she already has it. I got her some rocking chairs for out front, for our front porch. Pretty cool, right? Simple, something that she can use, something I can use, the whole family can use. But then I was like thinking, you're at the grocery store on Sunday morning with all the other guys. Everybody's looking for flowers. Everybody's looking for those last second gifts. Then I'm like, shit, man, that sucks, because when you're jammed for time, you're like, fuck, what do I get? Well, I'll tell you some things that you shouldn't get. One, don't get a gift card to Olive Garden, even though she'll probably enjoy going to Olive Garden, because who wouldn't? It's delicious. Although I gotta say this about Olive Garden. While it's good, I don't know what they did to their breadsticks, but they're just not as good. It's not like I go to Olive Garden all that often. I haven't been there in years. But the last time I was there, I was like, these breadsticks just aren't that good. They were like a little bit overcooked. The recipe I think they cut back on the salt because they're all healthy. Got to cut back on the sodium. Fuck that. Come on. I want it to taste good. Jesus. But I don't know. I love those. I used to love those endless breadsticks and salad. That was fucking delicious. But anyway, try to avoid getting a gift card. Okay. Also, pots and pans. Pots and pans are a bad idea, and unless they ask for it. If they ask for it, then you're good. But make sure you do your research on those, because you can't just go buy some rinky-dink pots and pans at the fucking dollar store, which they sell. Listen, if you got somebody going in, graduating high school or whatever, and they're getting their own place, that's where you buy some of your shit, is go to the dollar store and get some utensils and whatnot. But anyway, you got to do your research on pots and pans, because there's a lot of them, okay? Also, a vacuum. Again, if they ask for it, that's one thing. Otherwise, that's kind of a dick move. The irony is, I've bought my wife for Mother's Day pots and pans and a vacuum 2 separate times, right? Because she asked for it. The irony is I do the majority of the cooking and the majority of the vacuuming in this house. So I essentially bought it for myself. That's kind of fucked up, but hey, here we are. Here we are. And finally, the one thing you don't want to give your wife on Mother's Day is you don't want to put a bow on your penis, okay? You may like it, but chances are, she can live without it, right? I don't know about that. I kind of beg to differ. I gave your mother that same gift last year, and she loved it. Fuck you, Connery. God, man, you're such a jerk. If you didn't know, I'm just saying I banged your mother. I get it. You banged her. God, son of a bitch. What do you guys think about this? I know that some states have this already. I know some countries do already. It makes sense. It's a little weird that Denver's a little bit behind on this. But according to Fox 31 in Denver, I'm going to read from their website. A new bill to ban cell phones or other mobile devices while driving is moving through the Colorado legislature. The measure would introduce several new fines for people over the age of 18 who are caught using their phones without a hands-free device. Currently, only drivers under 18 years are banned from using cell phones while driving. Drivers over 18 are also going to be banned from texting or browsing the internet while driving, which is sad that we have to tell people, don't browse the internet while you're driving. Don't. Be like, I'm just looking for some good deals at Home Depot. Fuck. Sorry, get out of my way. I'm driving and searching the web. The new law would also expand the under 18 ban to all drivers, regardless of age, unless they're using a hands-free accessory. Also, there are exceptions, one being if it's an emergency situation, obviously you're able to use it. This is the part I have a hard time with because I appreciate that. I'm fine with that. I think that's an ongoing problem, something that I'm guilty of as well. I mean, I'm not like searching porn or anything on my cell phone while driving. I don't do that anymore. But, sometimes I'm like, texting and I shouldn't be texting. Or I look at an email and I shouldn't be looking at an email. It can wait. But I think this is a great idea. But here's where they fuck up. The first offense is an $85 fine with two license suspension points. Second offense within 24 months is a $160 fine with three suspension points. Third offense in 24 months, $260 overall fine and 4 suspension points. Here's the problem. It's not enough of a fine. I don't want to take money out of your pocket, but if you want people to stop from texting and driving and browsing the internet and driving and being distracted while driving and potentially killing people, make it more of a fine and more of a something that's going to stick in your head and go, oh shit, dude, I cannot afford to get a ticket. I can't afford. So I'm going to put it down. Maybe I'll shut the phone off. I'll flip it over so I can't see it. That, on the low end, $85 fine, that's essentially, depending on where you're at and how fast you're going, that's basically a speeding ticket. And I think a lot of people can look past that and go, God, that sucks, but it's not that bad. Could be worse. And even when you get to the $260, that's a chunk of change, but it's not that big of a chunk of change. Add $1,000 to each one of these, maybe $2,000. You really want people to stop? That's how you do it. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. If you are serious about getting people to stop, you gotta hurt them financially and make it jar in their brain of like, shit, because they're not thinking of the consequences like a physical consequence that you could actually harm somebody. They're not thinking it that way. They're thinking of like the financial, that's going to hurt my pocketbook. Okay? Well, cater to that and go, okay, We said $85 for the first offense. Well, we're going to change that to $1,085. Okay? That's a little bit more impactful, wouldn't you say? I think that's ridiculous. I don't understand why it's so low. That's just like a little slap on the wrist. Hey, stop. Don't be texting and driving, you little scamp. Come on. Get out of here. All right. $85, it's more expensive to go to Casa Bonita, right? Not wrong. Still haven't been because I have not. Everything I've read, I get a lot of mixed reviews on Casa Bonita. I don't feel like going right now. If somebody wants to take me and pay for me, I'm right there with you, buddy. I don't know. I think, am I wrong in thinking that way when it comes to the fines? If you want somebody to not do something, there's got to be significant consequences, right? Okay. You think about any law that, can be broken. People are going to commit those if there's less of a consequence. That's a slap on the wrist. That's like tickling somebody's butthole. That's what that is with a feather. You're welcome. Okay. I'll pay the fine. That's a weird analogy. I'm sorry. I saw this story and something random popped in my head. I'll read you the story, then I'll tell you what randomly popped in my head. The world's largest plant designed to suck planet heating pollution out of the atmosphere like a giant vacuum began operating in Iceland on Wednesday. I believe this was last week. Mammoth is the name of the facility, and it's going to be able to pull in 36,000 tons of carbon from the atmosphere at full capacity, according to Climeworks, which is the company that is running it and designed it. That's equivalent to taking around 7,800 gas-powered cars off the road every year. That's not actually that many cars off the road when you think about how many fucking people are on this planet. Over, 8 billion now? Now, here's one thing is, I think that's a great idea. If it works, that's great. If it works. I'm sure there's somebody's going to come at them and say, well, how much energy are you using? What's the, what is it putting back into the atmosphere? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure people will push back on it. But if ultimately it helps, combat all the damage that we're doing to the earth on a regular basis, that's great. And then you start getting more of those around the planet, that's great. That's great. But I'm an immature motherfucker, and I saw this, and I'm like, I'm reading the headline, and it's like, the world's largest plant designed to suck planet heating pollution, and then I got lost, okay? Because all of a sudden, I'm like, I could just imagine, like, there's these giant fans, and you got, like, some horny, like, middle-aged guy just constantly running over there and sticking his junk onto the part where it's sucking in the air. You're like, oh my God, we got a problem in zone 3. Is it Carl again? God dang it, we need to build a bigger fence. This motherfucker keeps getting in there. I know he is dry humping the shit out of that exhaust fan. Listen, we're guys. We'll do just about anything. Sorry, ladies. Sorry. I'm an immature pastor. I am. I was also thinking of Spaceballs when they're like, they have that, what is that? Mega Maid. And she's like, she's that giant maid with the vacuum, and she's gone from suck to blow. And then at one point they're like, suck. Anyway, I think that's great technology. That's a good idea. Because honestly, real quick, I don't have any desire to go out and buy an electric vehicle. I'm perfectly fine with my gas-powered vehicle. I have a Honda Accord. It gets great gas mileage. And everything I've read and looked into is a lot of these electric vehicles are actually causing more damage because the batteries, one, to make them, and two, just they're just not that great for the environment. So who's right, who's wrong? I'll just stick with my gas-powered vehicle until you guys figure that shit out, because nobody's really coming up with a definitive answer. I will tell you this, the one thing I do know is if you got a graduation coming up, which a lot of people, I think graduation starts for some schools as early as next week. And if you need somebody to cater your graduation party, go ahead and contact Sugar Fire in Westminster. Amazing place to grab some barbecue. And what a great way to celebrate your kids' success in completing school and you booting them out of the fucking house. Then with Sugar Fire in Westminster, like I said, an amazing place to grab some barbecue. You got to check them out if you want to see what they offer. SugarFireSmokehouse.com. But they got plenty of stuff for your catering needs, whether it's smoked ribs, you got smoked brisket, you got smoked wings, you got smoked turkey. There's so many things. Plus, they got their amazing sauces that you can add with it: St. Louis sweet, Texas hot, coffee, Carolina mustard, and white barbecue. Plus, a ton of other great sides that you can add to it. It's so freaking delicious. Sugar Fire in Westminster, by far my favorite place to get barbecue. And then if you have an event, like I said, whether it's graduation, birthday, wedding, or maybe a big meeting at work, you got to have them cater it because it is going to just blow everybody's mind. It's going to be so freaking good. Sugar Fire in Westminster, like I said, by far my favorite place to grab some barbecue. They're at 144th and Orchard Parkway in Westminster, just east of Huron on the south side of 144th. Go ahead and follow them on social media at Sugar Fire Westy, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Again, their website is sugarfiresmokehouse.com. It's Sugar Fire in Westminster, reinventing barbecue every single day. So Jad's Mile High Smoke is the only licensed canna bar in the state of Colorado, which is just so mind-blowing. You go in there and you're like, dude, this is freaking amazing. It's like an alcohol bar, but it's for cannabis. You got to go over to Jad's because you can purchase up to an ounce of flour or 8 grams of concentrate. You can consume what you'd like and then take the rest home. And they got a lot of stuff there. They got, like I said, flour, they got pre-rolls, concentrates, and edibles, and they provide everything you need to consume it with, which is fucking awesome. You got to go check them out. They got 7 big screen TVs. You can catch your favorite sporting event, or you could host a watch party. They also have Nintendo Switches available to rent, tons of free board games, playing cards, coloring books, and dominoes to choose from. Plus, they got a quarter arcade with pinball machines, vintage Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat. It's so freaking cool. You got to go in there. It's just a great place to go chill. And you just pull up to the bar, order what you want, and then, just hang out and have a good old time. They're open daily from noon to 10. Happy hour runs from noon to 4:20, Monday through Friday. You got to go to Jad's Mile High Smoke. It's just 9 minutes from Coors Field. It's open noon to 10, like I just said. You got to be at least 21 or older to consume. No outside product. Just buy it there at Jad's. Jad's is at 7667 Washington Street. Just GPS to Jad's. So we were talking about this earlier in the week, or I believe yesterday too. Well, one, Jamal Murray didn't get suspended for tossing that heat pack onto the court. He should have been. He should have been, honestly. But he was fined $100,000. That's a good chunk of change. So as a Nuggets fan, that's a big, big bullet dodged for the team. And they still got time to turn things around. They're down 2 games. It's a best of 7. It's a 7-game series potentially. But what I'm saying is, sorry, my brain just totally farted. It's like lingering. It's very musty. Like, smells old and dusty. And did you eat a salad? What's happening there? But anyway, it's a 7-game series. They're down 2 games, but they're headed to Minnesota. They start playing again on Friday. Hopefully they get their shit straight. And they, like I said, Jamal Murray's going to be on the court. So that's good. And hopefully he's humbled. But now he's a villain. He's a villain because everybody's going to be talking about it. A lot of the players are pissed at what he did. But he didn't get suspended. A great news last night was the Colorado Avalanche beat the Dallas Stars in Game 1 in an overtime with an overtime goal by Miles Wood. What's awesome is that, the Avs were down 3-0. And then they come back and win 4-3. That's phenomenal. So again, it kind of goes to what I was talking about, where between the two teams, I think the Avalanche are more likely to win it all over the Nuggets. So we'll see. Hey, you know what we need to do right now? Let's jump into the mailbag.
Mailbag. You've got mail.
This comes in from Matt OFP. I'm reading it right as he just sent it in. He said, did work from home ruin a generation of young employees entering the workforce the past 4 years, or will management simply have to adapt faster? There's a massive and polite for now revolt of returning to the office, and it's fascinating to consider the repercussions. That's very interesting to think about. I think it's done both. Because you said, did it ruin a generation of young employees entering the workforce? Yes. And you said, or will management simply have to adapt faster? I think you got to do both. I think it's got to be both, because you're going to have a mixture now. It's great for people that say are in like HR, and maybe they're over different, depending on the size of the company. You don't need to have them in an office. You could have them working from home. There's no need to pay for their office space. And they can just, especially if they're overseeing different states, different, large, areas. So it doesn't make sense. You can just they're going to be on Zoom calls. It doesn't matter. You can just have them doing their thing. So I think if anything, the workforce has benefited from that, because it forced the hand of going, hey, you've been kind of shitting away money in like sales reps and stuff like that. You don't necessarily need to have them in an office building when they could be working out of their home, and most of those guys or ladies are driving around and doing their deal. You don't need to have them in the office. As far as young employees entering the workforce, I guess it depends on what career they're going into. I don't know. The one thing I'll say is there's a lot of the COVID kids, from kindergarten all the way up to, seniors in high school. Anybody that was part of the COVID, pandemic years, and being locked down for like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it ended up being, they're going to have some challenges on social interaction. So that's something that is going to be a big hurdle for them. I know that they're like, say like my kids are in 3rd grade and 5th grade, and they're still trying to catch up in some aspects on, those COVID years. And I would imagine that there's a lot of younger people that had these jobs, miscellaneous jobs, then COVID strikes, and then they get paid to work at home. Half of them were essentially unemployed, getting paid, and then it just created a lazy aspect to the way they look at working. So I think it's not necessarily their fault. They're just a product of the environment. It's very interesting. It's we're still recovering from that shit of being locked down. I don't know if that really answers your question, but I see that w- companies are trying to get their some of their employees back in the office, which sometimes I think is a mistake because you're just doing it to do it. But then it also see it's such a mixed bag on this one because there's a lot of people like we were talking about that there was that lady that was making a big to do like, oh, I've been with this company for 18 years and they fired me because they installed software on their server that can tell that she had software or something that was making it look like she was working but she wasn't. Because you got that's what screws up the work at home for people. Like my wife works at home, she is busy non fucking stop. Like she's always in meetings, she's always doing reports, she's always doing something. Always. And but that's not the case with everybody. There's people that are pretending to work. And that's just they ruin it for everybody else. And that's why you're seeing a lot of offices going, you know what, we need to start bringing people back in so that way we can monitor what they're doing. So it's the classic, what a couple bad seeds ruin it for everybody. uh it is very interesting, Matt, when you really look at this and like what the workforce has been jostled by, and how some companies get it, some companies are just trying to go back to their old ways, and it's just really interesting. Um, and also like you were saying about the new age, the new generation of young employees and how they've been affected by the pandemic. And even though we're a couple of years past it now, we're still feeling the ripple effects from it. And mentally, they got hurdles that they got to deal with. Be like, listen, no, you got to go in there and fucking grind. And that's also kind of where like the whole TikTok generation of like, okay, I can't go work now. I'm gonna go just work from home and make silly videos about me complaining about shit, and people are making a fuck ton of money off of it, and they're not actually working. It is very bizarre. It's actually kind of troubling when you think about the future. Like let's look 20 years from now. What is our workforce going to look like? Because if they don't get past this little bump in the road of, a lot of people that don't actually want to physically work and don't want to actually do anything, what is it going to look like in 20 years? It's the horizon doesn't look very kind. So I don't know. It kind of worries me when I look at it that way. I would rather see a bunch of young employees going, okay, that sucked with the COVID years. Now I need to get into like a trade school. I need to learn to be a mechanic, an engineer, or I mean, like an electrician or a plumber or something like that. Very important gigs. So, it's I don't know. I don't think I answered your question really very well, but it is very interesting to think about where we're headed and what is in front of us, and to stop and go, how fucked up is the upcoming workforce and the current young workforce because of COVID? Because they got a chance to sit back and do things completely different. And now companies are wanting to go back to that where it's like, well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't think there's an easy answer for that, but I do think the I do think employers are going to have to find a balance depending on the industry of, okay, you don't have to have everybody in an office. That's a little ridiculous. Think about it. Especially if you have if you're wanting to get people into the office and you're like you stop and you look at their numbers and be like, they didn't skip a beat. when COVID hit. They were kicking ass before, they kicked ass during, and they're kicking ass after. And some people are continuing to excel. The only thing that's different is they're at home. So why would you fuck that up? Just like, okay, you know what? Hey, if anything, could you try to come down to the office like once a month or something like that? I know people that are like, they're kicking ass. Their numbers were going through the roof, but they're working from home. And then they're like, well, you need to start coming down to the office down in the tech center. I know you live way up north, but if you could come down, you need to start coming down. It's mandatory. You got to be down here, like say 3 or 4 days out of the week. And it's like, why? You're just trying to go back to the old way. It's okay to adapt. I can understand some individuals needing to go back into the office, but not all of them. It's weird that we're still talking about this, but I think the impact of COVID is going to stay with us for a little bit longer, and we might not really know it. But I would say a lot of why we have some shitty employees, people not wanting to work, is due to that in some capacity. Also, it's just you can also blame that on everybody being afraid to put their foot down and say, the truth when it comes to an employee, because a lot of times as a manager, you're afraid you're going to get in trouble if you speak the truth, because next thing you know, they're going to file a complaint, and then you as the manager are going to get fired. So there's so much shit out there when it comes to the workforce that everybody's dealing with, and it's not just dealing with the consequences of the lockdown and everything from a few years ago. It's we're having that issue where people are, you either are too strict or you're too woke type of thing, and you got to find the balance. Okay. Right now I feel like we're a little too woke, and it's like, it's just got to find a balance. You don't want to be a complete fuck stain and just being like hatred, but you don't, and you need to be able to be accepting of people, but also it's just like, you got to accept some fucking responsibility for your actions. So it's such a weird fucking time with all this shit. By the way, Gern wrote in, he said, do you take your eggs over easy or scrambled? I do. Yeah, over easy is like medium or over medium, right? That's what I do. Here's what I love for breakfast. I toast, I get like 2 pieces of toast, right? Melt some butter on there. Make sure it's even everywhere. Even. Sprinkle a little bit of salt on that toast, a little bit of garlic powder. Then I put the egg over medium on 2 eggs, one on each toast. Put some hot sauce on there. Boom. Eat it with a fork. So fucking good. So I guess I'm more of a over easy type of guy, but I'll eat scrambled. Another way to do that is you do the same thing with the bread, with the garlic and the salt, but you take scrambled eggs and you kind of pack it in there, put the other one and put hot sauce on top of it, maybe some shredded cheese, and then you just eat it like that, like a breakfast sandwich. That's pretty fucking good too. Somebody said, what's your name? What the fuck is that? Jeremy? Because he has some like creepy dude on a gift that's just like, what is your name? If you could change your name, would you change your name? I was reading some article, and I don't remember the lady's name, but she's just like, I have the worst name ever, and it's ruined my life, blah, blah, blah. Fucking change it then. If your parents name you like testicles or vagina, something like that, change your fucking name. You can do that. This lady that was complaining was an adult. Who fucking cares? Just change it. Seriously, that makes no sense. Well, my parents named me that. I can't change it. Well, obviously it bugs the shit out of you. But if you refuse to change it, I don't want to hear you complaining about it. Fuck. People. Jeremy, look what you started. I would never change my name. Although it is weird when people call me by my first name, Scott. If somebody says, "Hey, Scott," blah blah blah, it takes me a second because I'm used to people calling me by my last name. So it's a little bit difficult. Like when I go and talk with Nate Lundy, he calls me Scott, and I'm always like, "Who's he fucking? Oh, that's me. That's me. Hi." So yeah, it's I would never change my name, but if your name is horrible, yeah, fucking change your name. If your parents are assholes and they call you dildo, and guess what? When you're of age, change your fucking name because your parents are assholes. I always think about that. Like, remember, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, their their name was Apple. Their kid's name was Apple. Oh, Matt also chimed in with watching the entire Rockies organization embarrass itself. However, their social media people do a great job, and I hope they get poached from that terrible operation. Because I said, "What's your guilty pleasure?" Um, dude, I would hate to be a part of the Rockies organization because you like you're saying, like the social media people, the digital people, they're all doing a kick-ass job. They do a fucking phenomenal job. But then it's like they're making quality out of shit, a shit product. That's got to be hard. By the way, Ben DiNucci, former Denver Bronco quarterback, had just I say former because he just released that I have been released by the Broncos. All part of the journey. Excited for what's to come. Yeah, that was kind of obvious that was going to come, that he was going to get booted because, I mean, they got Zach Wilson and they got Bo Nix. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. So, hey, thank you guys so much for joining the show. It's kind of all over the place. I apologize. Huh? I feel like I banged my head on something. Hey, speaking of, I don't know. I was going to say, speaking of banging your head, bang your head with me. I'm going to be at La Eagle tomorrow. It's called L apostrophe Eagle. And I'm going to be there starting, it should be right around 11 o'clock. I will have some prizes to give away. We're going to be that's at 380 Cuivas Street in Denver. Man, my brain is just so jacked up. I guess I'm just like really distracted today. Anyway, like I said, I got gift cards to give away. I got like I can't remember how many I have, but I got a few to the people that come up to me and shake my hand and say, "Why, that's a heck of a handshake you have there." You crank it often? Yes, I do. But anyway, they're $100 gift cards to Jimmy Suds, so you can get your car washed. They do an amazing job over there. So that's courtesy of Jimmy Suds and, of course, the great guys over at The Final Word with Mile High Sports. So, again, come by. Should be right around 11 o'clock. Stay tuned to my social channels. There's a chance that could get altered due to a big press conference that might be occurring tomorrow. I'm not going to say any more about that, but that should be interesting. But again, we'll be at La Eagle tomorrow. I'll be out there with Mile High Sports and you at 380 Cuivas Street in Denver. Again, I'll have some great prizes. So come on by, say hi, and it should be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. Big thanks to Sugar Fire in Westminster. Go check them out. If you got a graduation party, they can cater it for you. Also, big thanks to Jad's Mile High Smoke. And, of course, Bet Online. Go to betonline.ag. It's DeHuff Uncensored. Let's continue to move forward. I'll talk to you next time.